Hey, I'm some random person on TikTok filming this on a phone. Here's a probably fake screenshot about how all my student loans disappeared because I sent a magic letter to the government. I can do the same thing for you if you buy my $120 course. This is not a scam at all. Alright, I joke, but if you want to send some money my way, I wouldn't exactly say no. I just locked myself out of my apartment and nobody told me that locksmiths cost $300. Speaking of poor financial decisions, the subject of today's video, all the TikTokers who think that they can thwart the federal government and Uno reverse card tens of thousands of dollars worth of debt.
So if you want to pay back all your student loan debt and not get your student loan erased, keep scrolling. But if you want that student loan debt erased, keep watching.
It's so funny that even beyond the mask and the costume, you can tell this person is a millennial because they still include the trademark millennial pause. And I have a lot of sympathy for anybody caught up in this, anybody who has student loans, because America is simultaneously the richest country in the world, yet we're also the only country in the world that has saddled our citizens with $1.8 trillion worth of difficult to discharge debt. Whoopsie doopsies, we've recreated revolutionary France in the aggregate. Unfortunately, the only thing worse than being scammed by a prestigious private university is getting scammed by a random person on TikTok. The first one I can maybe excuse because most Americans have had the idea of college beaten into them vigorously since they were in the 5th grade. But the latter, it's probably not a good idea to take financial advice from someone filming videos inside their car. Take advice, but not legally, this is not legally financial advice, from somebody who has count 'em, two LED studio lights. I can even make them change color. That all being said, today we're gonna look across the viral videos spreading all throughout TikTok featuring various scammers and hucksters. We're going to be talking about, briefly, how did we even get here as a country, and lastly, we're going to be talking about if any of the options being presented to us make sense or have any value at all. Hey, what's wrong? You look like you just got back from a night out, and you smell like a mediocre, small-dicked man.
Well, I'm with this guy, but honestly, he isn't that good in bed. I feel super undervalued, and it's really upsetting.
I don't know how to fix that. Except wait, I actually do, thanks to today's sponsor, Bellesa. Bellesa is tired of you having boring bedrooms, and they're literally giving away free toys or free gift cards for toys for everyone who signs up for my giveaway.
Ooh, can I sign up?
Don't worry, I got you. Bellesa is a boutique brand dedicated to closing the pleasure gap and giving you the highest quality adult toys on the market. They believe that sex should be fun, empowering, and most importantly, shame-free.
Emphasis on the fun, right?
Naturally. And I think your boyfriend might want to try the Power Pump by Bellesa, built to boost size, sensation, and confidence. No judgment here, but it might make you both have a better time.
We definitely could use the assist.
And if you're tired after work but he still wants to fool around, might I recommend the absolutely wild Ultra Blow. This thing is basically from the future. I mean, it is the pinnacle of beach-based technology.
I'm gonna take that one with me.
I mean, this thing, it might put me out of a job. Personally, I'm a simple guy. I like Tush by Bellesa. It's super customizable like all their products, and it absolutely crushes anything else I've ever owned. If you want to sign up for Bellesa's giveaway, click the link down below in my description to sign up to win free toys or free gift cards for toys. Thanks to Bellesa for sponsoring today's video, and now back to your regularly scheduled programming. My name is Patrick, but my friends call me Pat. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, social media there, and most importantly, heart back by popular demand. You may be asking, why now? Why this? Why was I born into this life and not, I don't know, in the 1700s? If I'd been born then, I don't know, I could have been a pirate's life for me, and I could have met my end amidst the brine and the sea foam, shanties ringing through my head right before I die of scurvy and dehydration. Or, if you're not from the US, you're probably just pointing and laughing at us, which is fine, because we deserve it. I won't explain the whole student loans crisis because it would take too long, and the reasons for it are kind of depressingly simple, but let me just quickly run a SparkNotes version for you. A university education is one of those things that you either have or you don't. While putting that you attended the School of Hard Knocks on your LinkedIn is technically free, it typically won't confer any additional job opportunities like going to college is supposed to do. Is that joke too dated? Should I instead have made one about Streamer University? Another thing that, while it does technically have university in the name, the only courses on offer are sex ed, taught by TBD, and many more, also taught by Professor TBD. Wow, this guy's gonna have a really full teaching schedule next semester. The rising cost of a college education has long been flagged as an issue, including by Ronald Reagan's Secretary of Education, William Bennett. A member of the Ronald Reagan administration admitting that there's a problem that requires some degree of liberalism to fix is like if the devil himself admitted that, yeah, I think hell would benefit if we had air conditioning. Alright, Satan, bring in a couple window units. I'm getting a little sweaty. In fact, I always get sweaty when I film because my room is so hot. Maybe I'm in hell, who's to say? I am gay. That rhymed. All the way. Okay, cut this, please. Heatstroke improv aside, tuition has gone from being 25% of college revenue a few decades ago to 50% of college revenue now. And this is caused by funding cuts. The government is spending less on higher education, and it's up to the students to foot the bill, all the while costs to attend college are continuously rising. In the last few years, student debt has ballooned to nearly $1.8 trillion, but payments were largely suspended during the pandemic, and millions of people were like, wait, my life is a lot better when I'm not paying $530 every month for basically nothing to barely even see the principal of my loan come down. Or, in this dude's case, his payments were so high that he had to make a TikTok about it. I want to make it very clear that I feel bad for the financial predicament that this gentleman is in. However, filming yourself being sad on TikTok set to like a remix of Another Love will always make me think that you're incredibly corny. Be like me and make X jokes on your YouTube video or do sad boy stand-up comedy. Or, you know what, maybe I'm being harsh. Maybe I should try making one of these TikToks too. Oh, that was so stupid. President Biden decided to restart student loan payments in 2023, 1 year before the election, in a stellar move showing savvy political instincts that paid off dividends for the Democratic Party. Not.
That suit is black. Not.
This suit is not black.
When's the last time you saw a good old-fashioned classic 80s not joke? Gosh, I am dating myself so much in this video. I promise I'm not Unk, guys. Anyways, to give a real Unk a tiny bit of credit, he tried to cancel $10,000 worth of student debt for every debtor who was making less than $125,000, only to have it struck down by the Supreme Court 6-3 in Nebraska versus Biden. Or Nebraska v. Biden. This is why I'm not in law school. Apologies to my grandma. The court's reasoning was flimsy, but when you get to be a Supreme Court justice, you can basically say whatever you want, use whatever thinly veiled justification you want, and then that supposedly just becomes law for 330 million people. Hey, look, I didn't make the rules. That was a bunch of rich white slave owners 250 years ago. They made the rules. Trump then took office earlier this year, and instead of giving people stimulus checks, which is a real thing real voters really thought that he was going to do, God, I can't believe we all share the same oxygen, but instead of doing that, he instructed his Department of Education to be even more aggressive in recouping student loan debt, and he also canceled a Biden-era payment plan. This is leaving a lot of people, for lack of a better word, ass and not in a good, sex-positive, sex-forward way, either. There's no shame in that, and as we always say on this channel repeatedly, we love and support our bottoms. Roll the clip! I can't change, even if I try. I write jokes pretty much exclusively for you, but that one's for me. That one's always for me. This brings us to the topic of today's controversy, the cottage industry of viral TikToks claiming that they can cancel your student loans. And I'm inclined to trust these people almost implicitly because they are giving me financial advice on the same platform that features a man dressed like a pickle playing the bagpipes.
Pickle Pete, we're outside M&R Liquors. We're gonna figure out if it's a pipe zone or not. Let's get
I'm sure you, just like the rest of us, have watched that clip and are now waiting for the aforementioned Cucumber Man to give you financial advice. So, if I have a 1099 NEC, do I carry over the deductions from my 1099 INT? Oh, I see. Thanks, Pickle Pete. Vinegar-laden snark aside, what are the creators talking about student loans actually saying?
I have been saying this for a while now. Removing your student loans off of your credit report and getting them forgiven is a reality.
I'm sorry, I know this is very similar to the previous joke, but you are taking financial advice from a man wearing a Miami Heat jersey. Like, I was just kidding about the whole pickle thing in something that I'm sure so many of you are going to comment, this is just like John Oliver, but now we're in reality. He is really wearing a sports jersey and talking about finance. I'd expect that from a frat party, not my accountant. Do I think LeBron's the GOAT? I mean, yeah, obviously, but do I think he's the GOAT of financial advice? Well, actually, come to think of it, he's been making headlines in recent weeks for refusing to take a pay cut. So, but let's take another look at what Clever Capital Freedom is actually claiming in the TikTok.
You just need the proper dispute letter and dispute method. As you all know, the Department of Education is abolished by President Trump.
There is a lot to unpack there, and I only showed you like 8 seconds of it. He's mentioning something called a dispute letter, which we'll also be talking about a little bit later, because what a lot of these TikToks are claiming is that if you send a letter to the government, they will wipe away your student debt. And this really will not work for the same reasons that Michael Scott's similar financial maneuvering also fell flat.
I declare bankruptcy!
And so, not so fun fact, while student loans are technically dischargeable in bankruptcy, only 0.1% of them actually are discharged, in part due to a 2005 law which made it in practice nearly impossible, and that 2005 law was backed by a familiar face. Wait for it. Wait for it.
You're a lying dog-faced Tony soldier. You said you were, but you're...
Joe Biden taketh, but then 20 years later, Joe Biden giveth again, only to have it taketh again by the Supreme Court. But something else Clever Capital Freedom also mentioned in the video is that Donald Trump is abolishing the Department of Education. So now I get to say, well, actually, he doesn't get to do that without the consent of Congress. And while that is true, technically, what Donald Trump can do in practice is slash the government, fire a bunch of the employees, and leave the department a vacant husk, just like those apartments he refused to rent to black tenants in the 1970s. I know this may come as a shock to some of you, but Trump has always been a bit of a piece of human garbage.
Nah, probably just doesn't like me because I used to be a piece of shit.
So, yes, admittedly, the man in the basketball jersey is partially correct. The best kind of correct if you're trying to salvage some modicum of points on an AP physics test that you're really flailing in. Okay, so if I write power equals work done over time, do I at least get some partial credit? No, you cannot. Me from the past who got a 2 on your AP physics exam, it's not going to happen for you. So while Trump has signed an executive order abolishing the DOE, saying at the time, quote, "It sounds strange, doesn't it? Department of Education. We're going to eliminate it." Yeah, while he signed that order, the department is not actually eliminated. Also, what sounds strange about the term, the Department of Education? That seems like an eminently reasonable and necessary cabinet-level executive agency in any functional government. But, I guess for rich billionaires like him, the concept of poor people getting an education is unfathomable. But immediately after that executive order was signed, the White House press secretary immediately clarified things.
And the White House said today, core department responsibilities, like managing student loans and Pell Grants and supporting special education, will be preserved.
While the DOE may be getting rid of its non-essential functions, like educating children, it will be continuing with its actually essential functions, getting its fucking money.
Where's my money? You gonna give me my money? Where's my money, man?
Therein lies the problem with most of these TikToks. The idea that the government is just going to dejectedly shrug their shoulders at the potential of leaving trillions of dollars uncollected and on the table. Or, well, there are people like that earlier costumed millennial who looks like a Batman villain with even more outlandish tactics.
If your school misled you in any kind of way, even just in the marketing, you can apply to have your student loan discharged. So if your school lied to you about jobs or job placement that you would get after graduating from their program, if they lied to you or promised you income that you would receive after graduating from their school.
So what Credit Hacker is describing is essentially every college ever. Do you think my university promised me that every week I'd be filming a Costco version of Last Week Tonight in my bedroom so that hundreds of strangers on the internet can call me a fag? I must have missed that one in the promotional material, unless it was one of those things in a marketing brochure where there's one person from every different ethnic group and they're all calling me a different anti-gay slur.
That's so gay. Homo! You
So you're a queer, aren't you?
If there was ever a homosexual who would be able to end racism by being the target of homophobia, I guess it would be me. Now, to her credit, she isn't selling anything in this video directly, and I guess theoretically there's no harm in filling out the application that she mentions at the end of the video, given it's a direct government platform and maybe something good would come of it. But going through a cursory scroll through the comments, TikTokers do not seem to be having a lot of success with the strategies outlined in this particular video. So I guess at best it's one of a series of several Hail Marys you can take if you want to get your student loans discharged, and at worst, it's a complete waste of time that will get your hopes up over literally nothing. But not to her credit, which is kind of funny given her name is the credit hacker. Pun. Anyway, on her website, she is selling one-on-one consultations for $200. In fairness, that is sold out, so if you want to buy something else, there are some things on offer. But personally, guys, I don't think it's the best idea to be buying a $99 legal guide from somebody who has to put a legal disclaimer that said legal guide does not actually constitute real legal advice. Can you imagine walking into a doctor's office and they give you some medicine and then they're like, hey, real quick, just want to let you know, I'm not a real doctor, this is not real medical advice, and then I'd be like, sir or madam, I have a lot of questions about these pills that you just handed me, even if you gave them to me for a real bargain. I think the reason that a lot of these TikToks have gone viral is because most of them claim to have a way to delete your student loans, even if that's not actually what the people in the video are telling you how to do.
This is how to delete your student loans. If you have student loans with Nelnet Mohila or any other service loan provider, they are in mega trouble and they're all being sued.
Oh wow, excuse me, mega trouble. How much more significant is that to regular trouble? Or what about a little trouble? I think I need a sliding scale so I can ascertain just what magnitude of calamity that I'm actively working with here. All I know is that if this is my lawyer, I might be in mega trouble. It's actually very unclear to me if the people on this account are actually lawyers, and if they were, you'd think they'd be a little bit more upfront about it because there certainly are real lawyers on this platform who are very bold about their advertising.
4 sneaky questions cops ask when you get pulled over and how to answer.
Do you know how fast you were going?
I wasn't speeding. Never admit to anything at all.
This man is definitely trying to sell me something, but I don't even care because he's got so much aura. He watched Better Call Saul, and he didn't think it was a TV show. He thought it was one of those WikiHow articles with pictures, and the world is a much richer and much more brightly colored place as a result. But the difference with Mr. Kennedy is that he is advertising with a law office, and there are these things called degrees behind him in a lot of his videos, as opposed to bona fide legal services who appear to be filming this TikTok inside of a moving car.
Don't delay. If you have student loans, this is not one lousy little letter. This is a series, and we have them. If you need our help, go to the link in our bio and set up your consultation.
Now, from what I can understand, they're a consulting service, so maybe they're not required to disclose if they have law degrees or not, even if they do, which would be a little odd, or maybe they're not required to have them, but whatever. They have a website, and on that website they have a section for frequently asked questions, and they only have 3 of them, which is odd, because my most pressing question is, are you guys qualified to practice law? Look, I get it, there are plenty of people on the internet who are selling things, including me, how meta, but I would rather buy legal counsel from a law firm as opposed to an app from people who claim to be bona fide legal services, but I don't even know if they're actually lawyers.
Would it be okay if you put your hands on top of mine? Like they're my hand?
Yeah. Like that?
Yes.
Okay.
That looks like my hands.
Yeah.
We're lawyers!
And because I imagine lawyers would be rather litigious, if you guys are actually lawyers, I retract all of my previous statements, but I want to add an addendum that you should fire whoever made your website because it's very unclear. Alright, cool, I got my disclaimer in there, so I will no longer be in potential mega trouble. One of the points they make that might be worth looking into, though, is just how many of these student payment recouping companies are currently being sued, namely Mohela and Nelnet. So, if you do have student loans, it might be worth a cursory Google to see if the company currently shaking you down for hundreds of dollars every month is actively being sued for gross malpractice, because frankly a lot of them are. But I don't really need to sell you a $99 course or an app to tell you that corporations in America will often act unethically. One of the most recent developments that's been getting a lot of virality in the last few weeks has been pertaining to FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act.
Girl, go get your student loans erased. So when Elon decided to enter into the chat, him being a third-party vendor basically meant that he violated the FERPA policy.
Okay, cool. This is a person with a green screen stitch sitting in front of a notes app. Far less likely that they're trying to sell me something, and far more likely that they're just optimistically misinformed. Okay. Well, at least this screen is a lot prettier. It's got a nice, pretty storefront compared to the last few that I've looked at. And she's included another additional item for $35 that you can buy once you've been denied, meaning that she's bought a second thing for you to buy after the first thing that you bought doesn't work. Now, that's a level of capitalism that I'm sure even the student loan companies themselves would really respect.
Go get it forgiven. Go get it forgiven in full. If you don't know what to say, if you don't know what to do, go ahead and copy and paste this message.
You didn't think it was going to be that easy, did you? You know, for a second there? Yeah, I kind of did.
So yeah, hopefully it goes without saying that this is not a way to get your student loans erased. Honestly, this whole thing reminds me a lot of how in 2019, there was this trend on Instagram where if you didn't post this obviously fake bullshit made up image, everyone was like, oh my god, Instagram's gonna make all of my private and deleted photos public unless I post this obviously fictitious image. And if you're looking at this now thinking, oh my god, who would ever fall for this? Well, a lot of celebrities did, including the then Secretary of Energy, Rick Perry.
Hey, where's Perry?
Like Donald Trump, he famously also wanted to get rid of the Department of Education alongside two other federal agencies, which he couldn't even name when he was asked.
The third agency of government, yeah. I would do away with the education, commerce, and let's see, I can't. The third one I can't, sorry. Oops.
And if you thought that was embarrassing, well, he was also on Dancing with the Stars. There's no joke here. There is no joke. This man had real, encompassing federal power for years, and we probably should have realized that the US was cooked when our politicians started appearing on reality shows. Or, well, you know, vice versa.
But Rod, you're fired.
Sorry, I love my Rick Perry tangents, but we need to talk about a different political figure, Elon Musk, and his Doge cuts. The point of contention here is that since Doge and Elon Musk illegally accessed your student loan data, they have violated FERPA. And therefore, you can get all of your loans forgiven. It's literally right there in the TikTok. I mean, look at it.
Let's let that erase. Also, on Monday morning, you better be calling your student aid office, letting them know what went down and that you don't feel comfortable paying for that anymore because you don't have to.
Okay, well, that's not remotely true at all, but a tiny part of that is true, so I guess you gotta give him that. Elon Musk and his Department of Government Efficiency, stupid name for a stupid person, yes, they did have access illegally to a database with the information of 40 million borrowers. The only problem is that you, a person whose data was illegally accessed, don't really have a legal remedy here. A 2002 Supreme Court case decided that while the Department of Education can sue violators of FERPA, you, as an individual, cannot. Unfortunately, those hoping to use TikTok for a remedy are going to be sorely disappointed. The only thing you'll find are a bunch of hucksters and scammers trying to take anywhere from $20 to $200 from a bunch of people who are desperate for a remedy. That's not to say it's all entirely bullshit. Some people have had success with getting their student loans removed from their credit reports, especially when their servicers have been acting improperly. In some cases, getting those loans at least temporarily removed from their credit reports, therefore increasing their credit scores. And you know, your credit is pretty important in this country. I mean, Americans, you know, we love to mock the Chinese for having their social credit scores, and that's all well and good until, you need a mortgage, and you've just been declined. And your car loan for the newest Ford F1 $500 million has also been declined. But the reality is, even if your loans get taken away from your credit report, you still have to pay them back at some point, and they might eventually even come back to your credit report. Despite what the viral TikToks claim, there is no magic solution to get rid of your student loans that you'll somehow stumble upon while doom scrolling. There is, however, this rather unorthodox strategy.
I'm currently getting a doctoral degree, and I'll be milking those student loan refund checks throughout the process while, of course, doing the work authentically. However, upon graduation in about 2.5 years, I'm going to continue to go to college for the rest of my life.
And look, for some of us out there, myself included, the concept of being in college for the rest of your life represents a sort of hellish nightmare scenario rather than a sustainable way to perpetually forestall debt forever, but I'm not judging. He says he pays about $1,000 a year after his tax credits while his other loans are perpetually deferred, and all the while he is racking up degrees like the TikTok lawyer, so he seems to have a good thing going. Alright, my friends, what is the moral of today's story?
The second you pipe up and admit guilt, it's over.
That is not the moral I was going for, flashy TikTok lawyer. The actual point I think we should take away from this trend: don't take financial advice that sounds too good to be true from a viral TikTok. Because as the saying goes, if it sounds too good to be true, well, it can't possibly be coming from a TikTok that's being filmed in somebody's car. But that's gonna do it for me, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you've enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. It really helps me out and it gets this video out to more people, which makes my life a lot better. And like I said, I am down bad from the start of this week and my internet has been out for 5 days. I am on the struggle bus. But yeah, comment down below what you think. Do you have student debt? Are you annoyed that the Supreme Court is probably never going to help us out ever again in our life? And what do you think of all these viral TikToks? But as always, my name is Patrick and my friends call me Pat, and I'll see you for the next one.